Clare Baker, former clutterholic, founder of clutterclearing.net. So how's 2020 going for you so far? Perhaps like me, it's not quite going according to plan. Maybe you found the last couple of months a bit of a challenge, a bit of a struggle. Maybe you've felt frustrated, overwhelmed. Maybe you're starting to feel like a bit of a failure because we're nearly at the end of February, and maybe you haven't done any of the things that you had planned to do in 2020. Snap, I feel exactly the same way. It's a really common feeling. It's a really common place to be because life gets in the way, as you probably know. It's life has got in the way for me. I haven't been able to do the things that I want to do, and I also haven't been able to keep up with the things that I would normally do, the things that I was doing last year and the year before, and I had started to feel really overwhelmed with getting back on track and with doing the things that needed to be done, much less doing the new things that I had wanted to do at the beginning of this year. And now, even though I told myself that there was a good reason for me not doing these things, I went away for Christmas, I had flu for 6 weeks, then a couple of weeks ago I had to put down my eldest cat, which did affect me emotionally quite hard. Even though I could logic and reason why I was feeling overwhelmed, out of control, frustrated, the perfectionist in my head kept telling me that just wasn't good enough. And of course that fueled that feeling of a failure, and that in turn fueled me actually getting started. It wasn't procrastination, although I could feel that I was getting to a point where actually I could easily get to a point where actually it's easier just not to do anything rather than to try and get back on track, try and get back the things that made me feel better before this period of life getting in the way. So I thought I'd share with you what I did last week to help, and maybe it's something that you can do if you are feeling as if you haven't quite started the year as you meant to, and if you're feeling overwhelmed, this is quite a good tool to help manage that overwhelm. If we're not careful, the feeling of overwhelm will fuel the procrastination, and it will fuel anxiety. And both procrastination, of which there are many types, and anxiety will literally stop us dead in our tracks, and actually make us physically unable to move forward. Okay, so we need to manage those. So this tool, this exercise I'm about to share with you may well help you with that. So what did I do? So last week, after the Clutter Buddy support group gathering at my home, I decided to spend the afternoon taking a step back so that I could just work out what might help and what might lift me out of this feeling of overwhelm and frustration and the downward spiral. I knew that I could do all the things that I wanted to do, or felt I needed to do, because I was doing them before Christmas. I knew that life getting in the way had basically slammed on the brakes, and that I'd come to a bit of a full stop. So I sat down and I made a list of all of the things that I had been doing that I wasn't currently doing, all the things that were that I was frustrated at not doing, the things that I felt overwhelmed by, the things that I knew that I wanted or needed to do, or the things that I used to enjoy that I just wasn't doing. And I was really surprised. I found that there were actually 9 things that I haven't been doing, but that make me feel better. It's ironic, isn't it? Even if we know that these things make us feel better, something seems to kind of get in the way of us doing them. Now, the fact that there were 9 things may may have contributed to my overwhelm, because our brain is comfortable dealing with between 5 and 9 things at any one time. So I was borderline for feeling overwhelmed. There's a reason why there are 7 days in a week. There's a reason why there's around 7 hours of working per day. There's a reason why we have 7 choices in terms of what to do with our clutter when we're doing a clutter clearing session, because it's a manageable number, 7. But as soon as we start to go above that, we will start to feel overwhelmed. So that was interesting in itself. So the things that I was missing doing and wanted to do were getting back properly onto my keto, no carbs, no sugar eating plan, going to the gym, doing my daily walking, doing my TRE to manage my stress, doing my daily affirmations, doing my daily success diary, doing my professional reading, doing my blog, doing my Friday finances. All of those things I was doing before Christmas, and it felt effortless. I was in the habit. And then just before Christmas, it all went to pot. So I wrote these down in a list, and then I decided to rate each and every one of them. So I rated them 3 times. The first rating was on a scale of 1 to 10. All of them were actually on a scale of 1 to 10. So the first one, I rated each one on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not very and 10 being very. I rated how exhausting each one made me feel. Just the thought of it. How exhausted do I feel at the thought of going to the gym? Yeah, you're probably thinking of a similar number. How exhausting do I feel thinking about doing my Friday finances? How exhausted do I feel thinking about doing my TRE? So I put a number against each of my 9 things. The second rating that I did was I rated them from 1 to 10 for how long I thought they would take to do. So it actually rated from 1 to 9, because 1 was the thing that would take me the least amount of time, and 9 was the thing I thought would take me the most amount of time. So I rated those things according to that. Okay. And then the third and final rating that I gave each of my 9 things was how much better I thought I'd feel if I did that thing. So on this rating, 1 was given to those things I thought, well, I won't feel a lot better. I'll feel better, but not a lot. And then 10 was given to the thing that I thought, I know I'm going to feel a whole lot better if I do that thing. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't necessarily easy to do these ratings. You might think in your head, oh yeah, no, I know what I put. But actually committing it to paper, made it more of a challenge. So once I'd got 3 numbers against each of my 9 things on my list, I added up the numbers so that each activity, each thing, had a total score. And it was quite simple. The activity, the thing that had the lowest score, the lowest number, that was what I decided to start with. Because I knew that that thing that had the lowest score was the least exhausting, would be the quickest thing to do, and would make me feel better. Would make me feel a lot better just by doing it. So the thing that had the lowest score, overall score, was the thing I did first. And it turned out, quite surprised, that actually the thing that had the lowest score was doing a TRE session. Now, if you're not familiar with TRE, this is something I've actually been doing since 2016, since Easter 2016. And it's a way of releasing, the technical description is, it's a way of releasing deep muscular stress, tension and trauma by activating your body to naturally shake and tremor. Sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? Basically, you do some stretches, you have a yoga mat, then you lie, after you've done your stretches to help release the stress and the tension that may be in your muscles and your system. You then lie on the floor in the cervical smear position. Fully appreciate this is probably too much information for any gentlemen who are watching this video. It might be too much information for some ladies, but anyway. Ladies, you know what position I'm talking about. So you lie on the floor in the cervical smear position with your legs in the air, and you allow your legs to naturally tremor. And when your legs are naturally tremoring, it's releasing that stress and tension. It's actually a natural phenomenon. So if you Google TRE, capital letters, TRE, and then look at the videos, there will be a video of a polar bear that is tremoring. So natural, in the wild, animals naturally do this thing. We as humans have kind of evolved not to do it as a way of dealing with stress. And it doesn't require any mental engagement. You put on relaxing music so that you kind of zone out a bit. Relaxation, chanting music, spa type music, as I call it. And you literally lie on the floor for half an hour and you let your body do what it needs to do. Oh my goodness, it was the right thing for me to start with. Because lying there on the floor, daydreaming while you're listening to the music and your body is tremoring, your legs are tremoring, doesn't require any energy. It was half an hour, quick to do. Wasn't exhausting, I'm lying on the floor. That's not exhausting. And afterwards I really did feel better. I did feel calmer. I felt less anxious. I felt less overwhelmed. I felt like the trauma of having had flu for 6 weeks and the stress that generates, and I felt as if the grief that I've had over losing my cat suddenly and unexpectedly, I did feel it was lifting. So that had definitely been the right thing to start with. I was glad that I had kind of decided to rate all of the things that I felt overwhelmed about, because a TRE session was definitely the right thing to start with. So once I'd done the TRE, I then thought, right, what's next on the list? What's the next lowest overall score from my list? And the next thing was my keto, getting back onto my no carbs, no sugar. I knew that it was giving me a fuzzy head, which wasn't helping with me thinking clearly and getting on with doing things that I knew I needed to do. So I made a food plan. I then checked what I got in the cupboards for that food plan for the week, only for the week, and went out shopping to get the bits that I didn't have in the store cupboard or in the fridge, so that I knew that I had the appropriate foods to hand. And I made one new recipe so that during the week I didn't have to cook every day, and so that it would be easy for me to follow my keto eating plan. Job done. I decided doing 2 things off my ratings list, that was enough for Saturday. So on Sunday, I then decided, okay, what's the next thing? And the next thing was my daily affirmations. So I looked at my daily affirmations and I thought, actually, I need to kind of update these for the new year. So I probably spent about an hour just going through them and making sure that they were really spot on, the right ones for me. And then I recorded them onto my phone. I record them as an audio file on my phone so that when I do my walking, I can listen to them with my headphones on. I'm kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm doing my daily affirmations and I'm doing my walking. So guess what I then did? I went walking. And I went walking, listening to my daily affirmations. And I went with my husband. He was listening to his music. We ended up in our favourite cafe, the Waitrose Cafe. At least it wasn't a pub. And, you know, had a nice time just talking to my husband and feeling like I was in a better place. I'd done my TRE. I'd planned my meals. I'd done my affirmations. I'd done some walking. which reminded me of how much better I feel. So I'd done 4 things out of my 9 in just a couple of days. And by having taken the time to rate them, I knew I was focusing on the things that were going to make the biggest difference first. And that made a huge difference. So over the course of this past week, I have worked my way through that list, and I've continued to tick off the things that I have done. I have had positive feedback from all of them. Because I have done them, I was able to add them each day to my success diary, my gratitude diary that I keep and hadn't been keeping. So again, I was focusing my mind on all of the positive, which helped motivate me for the next day. So consequently, I am repeating it again this week. I will be doing a TRE session after today's Clutter Buddy support group later. And I will be planning my keto food for next week as well. Because ultimately I now have very recent positive feedback that these things make a difference to me. And that's the most important thing. I am no longer feeling overwhelmed. I am no longer feeling like a failure because I have done some stuff this week. I am no longer feeling frustrated or stuck. That's kind of the other feeling, isn't it? We feel stuck. I know I want to do all these things, but I'm not doing any of them. So like I say, it worked for me, and so you might want to try it as well. Again, just a quick overview. List all the things that you either used to do and know that you like doing, the things that you want to do, and then rate them. Rate them according to how exhausting each one makes you feel when you think about doing it. Rate them according to how long you think they're going to take to do. And rate them according to how much better you're going to feel if you do them. Then add up those ratings for each thing on your list and start with the thing which has got the lowest score, because that's going to take the least amount of time, energy, effort. And then at least you've got something that you can say, oh, I've done. And that in itself will spur you on to do the next thing with the lowest score. Okay, like I say, it's worked for me and it's helped with the overwhelm. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by everything that you're trying to do or feel that you need to do, never do things that you feel you should do. Let's just scrub anything off the list that is a should. Forget should. We're thinking about the things that we want to do and the things that we need to do. Very different thing. And let's just take it one step at a time. Okay, I've had this last week is the first week where I can honestly say I feel like I have finally started 2020, and I finally feel like I'm off to a good start. Okay, after all, give it a try. What's the worst thing that can happen? You still feel the same after you've listed your list and rated each thing on it. We're no worse off for giving it a go. I shall love you and leave you there. Have a good week. If you're doing any clutter clearing this weekend, remember 7 action-focused categories to choose what to do with your clutter, and never do more than 2 hours at any one time. Have a good weekend. I shall see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.